Also,
on digital radio, on the app, on your smartphone, on X, YouTube, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Donut Bag presented by The Sportscast.
The Donut Bag, hosted by Joey Bag of Donuts. And here's your host, Joey Bag of Donuts.
We should have the music running the whole time. We should just in the background, just have a dance party or something.
because it's time on Sprockets we dance.
This is the time when we dance.
Right.
Would you like to touch my monkey? Is that what they said?
Yes.
Touch
my monkey.
Okay.
Touch my monkey. Yes.
Love it. Anyway, welcome to the Donut Bag Podcast, part of the Sportscast Network. If you want to join in the conversation, go to YouTube and look for Joey Bag of Donuts, V7F. And we finally made it. We've been waiting for this week for what, 9 months, eight, almost 7-8 months now. Real football again. We've already started to get real college football. Unfortunately, for Bill Belichick never got the memo apparently, but we got real college football, so now we're getting real pro football this week. Steelers, Jets. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's so already got to be like the meme of the year. They have this picture of his wife or girlfriend or whatever it is going up to him during the game, and they say, "Hey, Dad, got $20 to go to the concession stand."
Seriously, that blew my mind. Now, apparently, she was just on the sideline like before the game or some crap like that. But have you ever seen a wife or a girlfriend of a player or a coach on the sideline of a game? I've never.
No.
I just can't believe what happened to that guy. Bill Belichick is considered the greatest coach of all time, except for the cheating. And you know, he had such a high reputation. And in the past year or two, it's just been thrown in the toilet so he could get some young floozy. Hey, man, dude.
I think it's kind of like you should have rode off in the sunset, like, you know, because now you're really getting more and more like, well, without Brady, you're nothing. Yeah. Right. And it's getting worse. It's almost like, you know, hey, it's Steelers podcast. We're going to talk Steelers, but it's like Chuck Noll knew kind of when to get out. He hung on for a while, you know, but 89, that was kind of cool how he rode out there with that and how he turned the team around a little bit at the end. And he knew when to get out when he did, and some of these other guys did. But I
mean, Cowher did. I mean, I remember.
Yeah,
Cowher was partially pushed, but remember, Cowher, every coaching opening after Cowher left the Steelers and retired. Oh, is Bill Cowher going to come out? Is he going to come out?
He's going to coach Carolina.
He's going to coach it. He never came out.
Nope.
It's been almost 20 years. 19 years since he's been retired.
He would have made so much money if he went to coach somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now, what did he decide to do? Which is what Belichick should have done. He just went into broadcasting. Broadcasting is 10 million times easier than being a coach. Coaching, you're working 20-hour days. You never sleep. You never see your family. You're just dedicated to coaching all the time, 24/7, 365. That is your life. Broadcasting, you work a couple hours a week. It is the easiest gig ever. And you make good money. All Bill Belichick needed to do was just go. He was really good at like the few times that he did do broadcasting.
Didn't he have a podcast or like a YouTube series where he was talking to former players and things like that?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, or maybe it was like some kind of like thing they did of like NFL legends or historic things. So he is a great NFL historian. He was great at that, and you figure, you know, all of the knowledge and all the things that he's done, and it was just perfect. But he decides to hook up with a woman I don't even. When the final score was like 41-7. It's like, ironically, when she was 7, he was 41. So.
Yeah, the backup quarterback from North Carolina came in or something like that, or maybe it was from TCU, and they're like, yeah, he was 11 when she was born, or something like that. I was like, oh, like, I mean, it's and if he doesn't turn this around and they don't have like a winning season or win a bowl, I don't see it lasting very much longer, because I think he's just kind of done with the crap, and that's just the way it's going to go.
Well,
I think
I know everyone. He had a great run with Brady. Absolutely,
pretty great,
amazing. He was average in Cleveland. Remember, he was the head coach in Cleveland. They had a decent team. They weren't the greatest team ever. That's why I think it shocked everyone when he went from Cleveland to New England, and like, oh, wait a minute, this is like the greatest coach ever. Look what he's winning. He's winning. He never did this before. And well, I would say it's a little bit of both. I don't want to put this all on Brady, but sometimes you get that. Nolan Bradshaw. It was that combination. You get that good combination, and a lot of times they don't like each other, like in both of these cases, probably. But they're just, one mind works the way the other mind works. It's just perfect.
Yeah, or Bill Walsh in Montana was, kind of like that too, and even Tom Landry and Roger Staubach. So, yeah, it just, I don't know. I just, some of these guys, I'm actually kind of glad Cowher didn't get back into it, because I kind of like the fact that he kind of retired a Steeler, right? And it would have been weird seeing him coach anywhere else. And I still hate that, like, Kevin Green, I always use him as an example. He played 15 years. He only played 3 years in Pittsburgh, and he went in the Hall of Fame as a Steeler. He won a Super Bowl ring as a coach with another team. He easily could have chose any other team. He chose here, and I always felt that was a guy I wish we would have hung on to. I would love to have seen him retire a Steeler as a player. But yeah, you kind of get jealous when you're a Yinzer. You don't want to see some of these guys, do as well or whatever somewhere else. So
yeah. We'll see if Bill Belichick turns it around. It's like, hey, maybe it was just a bad first game or whatever, and they'll I don't know.
I don't know. And also the college game is different from the pro game, and the college game has so much going to high school players, meeting them at home with their mom and dad, and trying to talk them up when they're like juniors. So he's talking to these kids. I'll call them kids because they are in this case. 15, 16-year-old kids trying to get in their mind that, hey, come to me and I play for me. I used to, be this, and come here. And
how does a 70-year-old relate to a 17-year-old?
Well, the same way a 73-year-old relates to a 24-year-old.
Hey.
Oh,
she's 24, so she's not that far out of college years.
Maybe he'll just send her like, hey, look.
Right. Hey, honey, get on that tic tac or whatever. What are those kids doing with that tic tac?
Tic tac, yeah, get on tic tac.
We're on the Cincinnati. And also the thing that drove out Nick Saban and some other coaches, now you got to pay them millions of dollars. So not only do you have to be a good coach and relate to these kids and all this stuff, it's like, oh, by the way, you also have to come up with enough money to pay them.
And you almost wonder, my whole thought process when they were hiring him was kind of like, is he really ready for this? Because I remember, and Joe knows this, Dave, I don't know if you don't, but I do some other work with high school football on Friday nights. I have a studio show, and we do some other stuff. But I remember when it was Penn State's off weekend, and James Franklin was up in Erie to see Cooper Cousins, who's now a starting guard for Penn State, probably could be an All-American this year. Do you have that in you at 70 years old? Like your weekend off, you got to go to, like Joe said, Cincinnati, or you got to go to Tempe, Arizona, or wherever the hell you got to go. And I guess if I was the UNC, board, I'd be like, does this guy really have what it takes to be putting everything it is to recruit these players, Dave? Because you make a great point. It's so different now. And now it's because of the transfer portal. It's like, oh, like the kid from McKeesport, he committed to Penn State verbally. Then like last week, he just said, well, I'm going to go visit these other campuses now, and now all of a sudden it backtracks all these other coaches. Like, well, crap, I got to go keep in touch with him. Does he have the energy to do that? Because to me, and Joe, it's not that I disagree with you. His personality never struck me as having the right panache to be as good as like Jimmy Johnson or Cowher or Terry Bradshaw or Mike Ditka as a broadcast journalist. He's always been kind of like snide and a little bit, he's very intelligent, like you said. He's got the intelligence, it's there. Does he have the panache to do what it takes to do that job? And I just don't know. I mean, yeah, Dave, you're right. Like, hey, Bill Belichick's gonna come to our house for dinner. That's pretty cool. But is he gonna sit there and just like eat his meatloaf and not say a word, or like, where some of these guys are gonna be? Narduzzi's charismatic, Franklin's charismatic. A lot of these guys are, and I don't know.
Remember when he was with the Patriots and had that dynasty and winning all those Super Bowls? All those players generally hated playing for him. He was horrible to them, but they stuck around because they kept winning Super Bowls.
Right. The Cowboys are the same way. They hated Jimmy Johnson. He was so tough. They talk about that in that documentary. As soon as Barry Switzer comes in, it was like camp candy. They would go the one day, I forget what it was. They were out late. All the players, someone threw a big birthday party. They were all out really. It may have been for Alvin Harper. They were out really late. They come back. And practice was going bad. You could tell like the guys were out all night. And he said, go, screw it, go hit the pool. You guys aren't into this today. They literally stopped. Could you imagine that in Latrobe? They literally stopped practice at like 10 a.m. and they all went and just had an off day. And Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, two totally different approaches. Yeah. And so that's why I'm not negative Nancy. I just don't know if this thing's going to work out with Belichick and UNC. I don't know if I see it.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, like I said, the pro game and the college game, because we've seen it the other way where, this is a great college coach. He's going to go to the pros and he falls on his face.
Right.
It's worked with like two people, Jimmy Johnson and Pete Carroll. That's it. That's the list. Mm-hmm. Every other good college coach that went to the pros, it failed. Every good pro coach that went to college, it generally failed. It is a completely different game. Mm-hmm. And I know the people that run like the boosters and stuff in North Carolina, they were not happy with that woman before. If I'm seeing her on the sideline, I'd be like, what the heck is going on? I don't care if it's before the game. What are you doing? I've never even heard of that, of a wife or a girlfriend just being on the sideline. Like, who are you to be talking to anybody, lady?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
I remember because I wasn't Super Bowl 30 or even both Super Bowls. Like, Cowher had to find his wife in the stands, right? Like, I agree with you, Joe. I don't see it. I don't see that. I don't watch you being down in the stands.
But on to what we want to talk about in the Steelers. We are at week 1, and I'm hoping it is Tuesday night, and I'm hoping that this is not a story for very long, but it is a story now. Cam Hayward, we don't know whether, he has threatened to hold out. I'd say the likelihood of him actually holding out and not playing game 1 is low, but still it is possible. Do you think Cam Hayward is going to play against the Jets?
I think he will. Partially because when they asked Tomlin today in the press conference, he said he expects him to be there. And if now all of a sudden Cam goes, I'm holding out, you're basically, making the coach look like an idiot by saying, well, coach said I was going to play, but you know what? I decided not to. And I don't see Cam doing that. And also, Boswell's been asking for a new contract too. And everyone thought he was going to get that. He's like, okay, Cam, maybe, he's got maybe 2 years left. Maybe you restructure it, give him a little more guaranteed money because they had a great last year. Boswell, you got to sign him. He's your offense. Especially last year. He was your offense. But, if he doesn't show, they'll just play. You can just see them playing that clip from Tomlin saying, I totally expect Cam to be playing, and then Cam not playing.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's for all the drama it's been kind of in the media about it. there hasn't been a lot of drama on the field or off, right? He's attended every single film. He's attended most practices. He's been somewhat dressed, right? He's not in pads or anything, but he's at everything. And I don't think he wants to add the drama, although he did get pissed the other day when people were kind of bashing on Connor. And he said, leave my brother alone, and stuff like that. And, we'll see. But other than that, I think you're right, Dave. I think you'll see him. Now, you might not see him play the whole game, though, Joe. You're talking about a guy that held out for a lot of camp. We might not see, but maybe 2 quarters out of him, through the whole game, not, just 1 or 2. But I think you'll see him, but I think you won't see him as much as you might see some of the other guys out there playing.
I'm trying to bite my tongue on this, because to me this seems like a very temporary situation, and 2 months from now we're not even going to remember this happened. We're going to like, what, Campbell? We're not even going to think of, hopefully we're not even going to think about him being mad about his contract or something like that. I'm very much against what he's doing. I mean, because he just signed a freaking contract last year, and now he's complaining, and he already got his money for this year. So it's like, to me, it's just a really bad look. I think he got a really negative reaction from fans when it was the news was out that he was upset about his contract, which is crazy, because he is one of the greatest Steelers ever. And as far as on the humanitarian and the charitable side, he is definitely one of the greatest Steelers ever. So that's why I'm just really choosing my words wisely, because I don't want to say anything.
Who knows if he got bad advice where someone said, hey, Cam, you had a great year last year. You took a massive pay cut because your year before was bad. And now you had this great year. And, whether it's a fluke 1 year, but you got to get if you're, who knows if what this year he's, we all know he's close to retirement. He's been playing that long. Get your money now. And someone's maybe his agent's telling him that, maybe someone else like, oh, you got, you took the giant pay cut and now you got to get that money back because you had a great year last year. And, he's going off of that, and then he gets kicked back, and hopefully he'll be like, yeah, maybe I'll just kind of try to do this. Like I said, maybe jiggle it around where the money goes from, year 3 where it's not guaranteed to more guaranteed money. Something where it's jiggled around like that. Who knows?
I'm wondering if that's what this is really about. Is I think this might be his last year, and he wants next year's money now because he ain't gonna be here next year.
That could very well be. I think you're both right. I think he probably wasn't anticipating the fan reaction to be negative, but then again, in the long run, how much we might be negative about probably doesn't really affect anything other than just people voicing their opinion. But it definitely didn't go the way he probably would have thought that would. Yeah, there's a lot of people felt they did get paid. I've mentioned on here before, Joe, that not only did the Steelers agree to extend his contract and pay him a little bit more when he needs. He missed half the year almost last year due to injury. He's coming back. What's to say he doesn't get injured again? So, I think the Steelers, in this case, are not the bad guy. A lot of times with these things, the team gets painted as a bad guy. The team looks cheap, and the team looks like look at the Cowboys, right? Look at the Cowboys. That has made Jerry Jones look even worse than usual. The Cowboys look worse other than Skip Bayless. He somehow thinks that they're going to do it. But then again, Skip Bayless also tweeted out at 20 after 8 last night that UNC could be one of the best offensive teams in the country. And whoops. But he also wrote for the Dallas Morning News for like 38 years. So, I think that all adds up. I think he will play. It's sad because, like you said, he's a Walter Payton winner, right? That carries a lot of weight. It really does. That's a prestigious award, and I have no doubt that once he does retire, he'll be in the Steelers Ring of Honor. All those things. I think he'll get a lot of cheers when he does. He's a guy that this city embraces and loves, and it's just a shame that this has to be. But I do think he plays. I just don't think he's going to play 4 quarters. I think he plays a minimum amount of snaps, and that's what you're going to see.
And honestly, I would. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
I was just gonna say he's barely practiced for because he's a vet or this whole contract crap or whatever. So yeah, how do you expect him to play a full game? Not just him, but a lot of the players. That's why, to me, these first like few weeks of the season are like the real exhibition season, because the starters don't play that much. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, no. And also, since we do have 17 games now, I'd rather them rest up some of these players who are, I hate to say older because they're a lot younger than I am, but you don't want to say, oh, we have to, get week 1, week 2, week 3, and then all of a sudden you're week 15 and you got people with tired legs and people starting to get worn out and the little niggling injuries, especially 10-year, 15-year, it adds up. And then all of a sudden you're not as fresh at the end or even the playoffs. And it's like, okay, you know what? We have a deep defensive line this year. The rookies are is he? I mean, like I said, he may not be doing great, but he'll be good to okay, we're going to throw you in for a few plays and rest him. Also, if the offense actually sustains drives, that would be, I know it's unique. It's a unique thought. Sustaining drives on offense instead of throwing a bomb and getting a touchdown or going 3 and out, but sustaining drives into defense can actually not play 2/3 of the game. We'll have the defensive players rested up for, December and January, hopefully.
Well, even with the infusion of youth we've had lately, the Steelers are still, I think it's either the second or the oldest team in the NFL. It doesn't help that our quarterback's 41. He kind of, helps the bell curve on that, but we're definitely one of the oldest teams in the NFL. So I think Dave brings up a good point again there with, okay, hey, if he doesn't play a few games, then we have him later in the season to come out and play. And but that's the thing, this is what we talked about when they went to the 17-game deal. Is like it's going to be a stretch for aging veterans to make that and be a healthy team. It's why I think you don't see any more of the Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders workload, Jerome Bettis. You're seeing the 2 back sets now, and so much shared time with running backs. So, I think it's a good point. And hey, if the worst thing happens is we have a healthier Cam Ward later in the season, then so be it. Because the first part of the schedule, which I'm sure we're going to go through, is not bad, and it gets a little bit harder. Bad year for the Steelers to pick the NFC East. Well, not pick, but draw the NFC East as their counterpart opponent in the NFC, because I think every one of those teams in the NFC East got better. I'm sorry, NFC Central got better, and they're going to be formidable opponents, even the Bears.
Yeah, that is a tough division. If Cam Hayward does hold out game 1, does that tarnish his reputation, or hurt his legacy in Pittsburgh?
If it's just game 1, no. I think if it goes very long in a season, there's going to be that little blurb on the horizon for him. But if it's just a game or 2 or something, they get it all figured out. I think, like you said earlier, Joe, I think it'll be forgotten about in about 6 weeks. They're not going to point to that in the Ring of Honor thing.
Right. I mean, for God's sake, James Harrison slept during meetings, got himself fired in the middle of the season, went to New England, hung out with Tom Brady, and still came back, and he is a beloved member of the Steelers. So right. I mean, he did everything but take a dump on Rooney's desk on the way out, and he's still beloved. So yeah, I think we could survive this.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it's just a key part of that team too, and he's a leader and everything too. So that does impact it a little bit. You want him out there, you want him dressed, you want him making the impact that he can.
Yep,
Steelers know that.
Yeah, and I think he said in a podcast, he's like, "Come on, I'm going to be there." So, I think this is all, most likely what'll happen is they'll announce probably tomorrow that there's some kind of that they've agreed to a contract and everyone's happy, and then they'll all live happily ever after. But Yeah, I wonder if this is because this might be his last year and he just wants the next year's money now, because he got paid. Basically, he got paid his entire contract like in March or something like that.
Right.
His game checks are very small. So that's why they're like, oh, if he holds out, he's going to lose a game check. It's like, not really, because I mean, yeah, but it's not really going to hurt him because he already got all his money or something like that. Anyway, the other news is they have signed Jaylen Warren to a contract extension. And for not a lot, I think like $7 million a year, or like the total.
No, it's even less. I think it's like $5 million a year.
Something like that. It was like 3 years, 17 million or something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, great for the Steelers. Great for him. I mean, the dude was an undrafted free agent. You know, you talk about what do they say from what does Cody Rose say from
undesirable to undeniable.
Yeah, undesirable or undeniable. I mean, he's, you know, and you know, we don't know how he's going to be, but I think our perception of the whole running back situation has changed in the past few months. I think when they drafted Caleb Johnson, everybody assumed, oh, well, it's either going to be 50-50 or it's just going to be the Caleb Johnson show, or, you know, poor Jaylen Warren's not even going to get that much. And now I think right now it just seems like, at least in the beginning of the year, I don't think Caleb Johnson is going to play much, if at all. I don't think they trust him yet. And I think he just did not have a good training camp. And I think it's going to be mostly Jaylen Warren and a little bit of Kenny Gainwell.
Go ahead, Dave.
I'll say, and you know, honestly, with the rookie coming in, and we, you know, the running backs, of course, do more than just run the ball. They are also your blocker of last resort. And do you really want to have a rookie who may or may not have shown good blocking, you know, or average blocking, with a 41-year-old quarterback who's already 2 years ago got lost in the first, you know, Jaylen Warren's solid for that. And what they signed him for wasn't really that much money. I mean, I hate to say, you know, $5-6 million isn't much money, but for an NFL team, for a starter, that's really not bad.
Well, the Steelers had some cap space to work with, right? They're still sitting right now, as of tonight, they're still at $18.6 million under the cap, even with the Caleb Johnson signing. So I don't think it was because of Caleb Johnson, Joe. I think Jaylen has proven himself. He's well liked by the team. You know, a lot of the team came out and said how happy they were the Steelers gave him the contract. You know, I think he's proven himself as a player that way. So I think he was going to get a contract no matter what. I don't think necessarily it's the Caleb Johnson was so bad. I do think they intend to use him. Maybe they're going to use him a little bit more than they thought they would. But I thought, again, Caleb Johnson didn't have a bad last two preseason games. He 55 yards rushing to one game, 42 the next on minimal carries. So it wasn't horrible. He's looking better. But I do think you're right on one thing, Joe. I think you're in the early part of the year. I think we're going to see a lot of Caleb Johnson, a lot of Gainwell on third downs. I'm sorry, a lot of Jaylen Warren and a lot of Gainwell on third downs until they feel more comfortable with him. But I think he was going to get this contract. They have the money to do it, and you know, he's kind of earned his spot. I still go back to, I'm not sure if he works well in an Arthur Smith offense. We'll have to see. And the other problem is he has fumble issues too. So it's not like he's it's not like he's a stud running back. You know, he's had some fumble issues, and you know how that goes with Tomlin. You know, one thing I give Mike Tomlin credit for is if you start fumbling the ball, you're not going to be in there for long. You know, and that could be just the opposite of what you're thinking, Joe, is if he goes in there, he has some key turnovers here in these first couple games and it costs us, you might see a lot of Caleb Johnson a lot earlier than you or even they maybe thought they would.
Yeah. The other thing we need to consider is I wonder how much say Aaron Rodgers has in this. You know, what if he says, I don't want no damn rookie that doesn't know what the heck he's doing out there, not knowing how to pass protect and getting me killed. I don't know how he is with rookies, but that could factor into this too.
Well, hopefully
Well-
Aaron's changed it, because remember when he was in Green Bay and they brought in the replacement for him and he basically did a hissy fit and he was very uncooperative. And that's one of the reasons Green Bay let him go. They're like, okay, we have our quarterback of the future. It's time for you to go. We're sorry we wish you could stay and mentor the new guy, but we don't want to deal with this drama. Go. And then that's Wayne went to New York. And, the issue with his leg all of a sudden. So hopefully he's kind of learned from that, matured, grew up a little bit as a person. And, he knows that he's here a year, maybe 2 at most. So he wants to also maybe just wants to cement his the un-Belichick, if you will, where before it was like, oh, yeah, he was great until his last 2 years and he was horrible. He was with a losing team. He wants to have maybe, okay, if I have a decent, good year, maybe this year, next year, they're going to draft a quarterback, we hope. And, he'll come in half year and then I'll retire after that year. And I'll look so wonderful in people's eyes.
I've said to Joe on the show before, I think that Aaron Rodgers maybe had a little bit of an epiphany and realized things didn't go well in New York, and that's not the way he wanted to finish his things out.
Yeah.
If you remember, too, that first year in New York, he didn't show up to camp for the first week and a half. He's been here from the big get-go.
Mm-hmm.
He had a noted, heated argument with Caleb Johnson on the sideline the last week of practice, and that was the same week where Mike Tomlin came out and said, I need to see more out of him. And then Caleb Johnson delivered. He had 55 yards. Not a bad game that game. But, you're right. Aaron Rodgers kind of laid in him a little bit and lit him up. And that's what I think they wanted to see in Green Bay, right? Hey, you're doing this right. You're doing this wrong. Here's why you're doing it wrong. I've been around for I've been around playing for almost 20 years. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I've seen. And it sounds like they're getting that out of him. Now, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is going to throw 50 touchdowns this year and win comeback player of the year. But it does seem like we're getting out of him what the Packers wanted to get out of him, and the Jets never got out of him. And so there you are. But I think that plays into it, too. Like, hey, Jaylen Warren, Gainwell, they can block a little bit better than Caleb Johnson right now. And they may need that. Although Arthur Smith offenses tend to protect the quarterback pretty good because he generally has a blocking tight end in there to work with. So.
You know who hates Arthur Smith? Anybody playing fantasy football. They remember what he was like in Atlanta, how they drafted Bijan Robinson, who was one of the greatest running backs of this generation, and Arthur Smith didn't do a darn thing with him. So he'd rather play Cordarrelle Patterson or some other dude, some other, lesser known dude or something like that. So like the fantasy community hates Arthur Smith. So, all these people that are really high on Caleb Johnson, I think I'm afraid I have some bad news. We'll see. We'll see. I can totally see a situation where he follows a trajectory of a quote unquote normal rookie where he doesn't play much at first in the beginning of the season, but then as he gets just becomes more experienced and gets more knowledgeable and earns everybody's trust, he plays more and more. And because I think right now he's just a deer in the headlights. Don't tell me he forgot to how to run or something after being so awesome in Iowa. So it's just, I think he's just getting used to the pro game. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a slow build, but I mean a very slow build, because I think I think after like a first couple of weeks, we're all going to be saying, what the hell happened with Caleb Johnson? He's not even playing at all. I think that's what we're going to get. And then he's going to be a little more and more and more involved.
And you hear people a lot of times say, especially now with like we said, the 17 game season, you have these college players, and then all of a sudden you're playing game, 12, 13, 14, 15. And they're for the last 2, 3, however years in college, they're like, okay, my body's used to playing this far.
They hit the wall.
And then we have a massive break before the bowl game if we have one. Now it's play. And now, admittedly, I've never played organized football at any level, but you hear people saying college is one speed, preseason's another speed, regular season's a whole nother speed.
Right.
It's not, I mean, it's a giant step from preseason to regular season with the speed and what's going on. And honestly,
the rookie wall is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Or they just run out of gas at the end of the season. So, yeah. So
if you can let these guys slow, especially like we said about the schedule, again, not as bad as last year. Last year was crazy with first half versus second half, but it's still easier in the first half versus the second half.
I even said to Joe, I went back and rewatched that Jacksonville game where he ran pretty well. He was actually hitting holes and getting through the holes, but then what he was doing, which he could get away with at Iowa, I watched him for 3 years get away with it in Iowa, is he had the speed at that level to cut back to his left or right and make more progress. We found out real quick that you can't do that in the NFL. Now, look, I mean, it's hard because, right, you choose, well, what do you complain about? Because he still got like 6 yards or 7 yards out of carry, and you're a hell of a lot better off at 2nd and 3 than you are at 2nd and 7. But, he's going to have to learn, I think, to be more of a straight-ahead runner in the NFL, right? Even Barry and Emmett and Jerome, I mean, they would burst through the hole, and they might cut and dance, but they still kind of stayed on the trajectory they wanted to go. They weren't going all the way back left and all the way back right because in the college game, linebackers are not as fast as they are in the NFL, or at least you may have 1 or 2 out there, but you don't have 3, right? You don't have a strong safety that can run like, a 4-1 or whatever like that. So he learned real quick, and I think that's what they're saying here. And I think everybody's kind of right here in their own way, but I think that's the thing with him. He just needs to learn how to run in the NFL a little bit better, and that's just the way it is with the speed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I just saw a headline that said Johnny Manziel says he hates Cleveland and hopes the Browns go 0-16 every season. Hey, I have something in common with Johnny Manziel. What do you know?
Send him a terrible towel.
That's right. But let's talk Steelers. First, let's talk Steelers Jets. The Steelers, I believe, are favored on the road by 2.5, which is pretty impressive. I don't know what the heck is going to happen. I think there's a very good chance the Steelers win, but I also think there's a very good chance they might win 15-13 or something and kick 5 field goals or something like that. Like, I don't know what the heck to expect. I mean, on paper, it sounds great, but who knows what the heck is going to happen. I just hope Aaron Rodgers lasts more than 3 plays and doesn't blow out his Achilles again on that damn turf.
Yeah. And also, I'm kind of curious to see how Justin Fields does. Because it's a double revenge game for both Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields.
I think it's the first double revenge game ever or something like that. Or
it's not that. Yeah, I mean, because Justin Fields, okay, he isn't a great passer. Okay, that's not a strong point, but he's a really good runner. And look how the Steelers were demolished by the Ravens last year. I know, different level of running, but they had trouble with running quarterbacks. After years and years and years of containing Lamar Jackson, they didn't do it last year. Are they going to have trouble with a good running back and a good running quarterback? And the defense, week 1, like I said, you don't gel yet as a unit. And all you need is the breakdown here and there, and all of a sudden, one good long run. It could be one of those weird fluke games that Tomlin has every so often, where you lose 13-10, and you shouldn't have, but one or 2 weird fluke plays.
I think they're going to go in and beat the Jets. I do agree it could be one of those 17-14 games. And I think that's the result, and you'll see that in a lot in this coming week. I think it's the result of a lot of these players not playing in the preseason. There's still a lot of cobwebs, and that's not only Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, but it's the Jets, it's the Bengals, it's whoever, right? These guys just aren't practicing like they used to in the preseason. So even like you mentioned fantasy earlier, Joe, I don't think even this week's ever great for fantasy football owners. It's kind of mediocre. maybe a little bit above average depending on the teams. But I think they go in and win. I just don't think the Jets have made a lot of improvements where I'm sitting there saying, wow. I mean, Fields was arguably their best signing in the offseason, and I just wasn't. I mean, I think he's okay. I think he's a little above average, but they didn't make a big splash at all in anywhere else. So I think actually the Jets are probably a contender to be picking in the top 4 in the draft next year here in Pittsburgh. So as far as the revenge game goes, Fields played that down today, saying he didn't really care. I think the only other double revenge game I can think of, Joe, is when the Rams and the Lions made the swap for Goff.
That's right.
I think they played
Goff
the following,
versus Stafford. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they played the following year. That's the only one I can think of. So that's a pretty good memory on you too there. But yeah, so I think that aspect's interesting to it, and yeah, we just got to see what Steelers offense we're going to get because we really haven't seen, unless you were at the Latrobe game on Friday night. I mean, that's the last time you really saw the first stringers playing. So it could be one of those ugly games. It could be 13-7 or something like that.
Almost the entire training camp, we saw the Steelers defense dominate the Steelers offense. So yeah, that's scary. And you're right, Darren. Like week 1, like the first couple of weeks, it's not good for fantasy. It's the offenses are not in tune yet.
No. But I'll be honest though, I'd rather have that than the heart attack that a bunch of Cincinnati fans had when they saw Joe Burrow get sacked pretty hard in a preseason game. Right. Because like, oh my God, like you can just see something. Oh my God, we're going to lose Burrow for the season. We're screwed because we need to beat everyone 50-48.
That was ridiculous. That was so ridiculous. He got dogpiled on. Dogpiled.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Bengals, but they're fascinating in not a good way. Raul says if Duck was playing quarterback, we'd win by 50 billion. I mean, that's one of those things you go back and it's like, wait a minute. We had a guy named Duck that was our starting quarterback that was winning us games. Like
we should not have been winning. Remember what was it? The one game they played a wishbone offense pretty much. And they won.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, he can't throw good. He got 1 or 2 good throws his entire career. And hey, but you know what? We'll try this and see. I mean, it worked.
Yep. Yeah.
And now he's either dating or married this beautiful country music star.
I forget who he's.
Yep.
Dude's living a charmed life, man. God bless you, Duck Hodges. Hey, hats off to you, man. That is like he can always say, they'll never take away from him. It's like, I played for the Steelers and I won games. Not very many quarterbacks can say that. So that was just the Duck Hodges year was just so crazy. And yeah, it was just that was the Mason Rudolph year where Myles Garrett beat him with a helmet, and he looked like the Great Kazoo that one game where his helmet was removed because Earl Thomas or whatever like concussed him and the cart broke. Remember that? So,
yes.
The poor guy, they had to unscrew his helmet. He's all loopy, and then he couldn't even get on a cart to get out of there. They had to carry him away. What a weird season.
That was a weird season. Very strange.
Very strange. They still go. What would they go? 8-1 or 8-8 or something like that.
Yeah, just enough to keep the Tomlin streak going.
Oh, that was the year they traded for Minka because
the Dolphins were like, "Oh, you lost Ben. You're down to your 3rd string. You're going to be horrible. We're going to get a great draft pick in the Steelers," and they got like a 17th, 18th pick, and it's like, they got Minka back finally.
Do you view that Minka trade as good? I mean, he was good those first couple of years, and then it went south. I mean, he made all pro, right? So, I
Mhm.
mean, but people say, oh, wow, if we just were crappy that year, we could have ended up with Justin Herbert. I don't think so, because I don't think they would have. Justin Herbert wasn't what we think of him now. He was just some dude, and I don't know if they would have. I don't know if they would have taken him. They probably would have screwed it up.
Yeah, honestly, Mika was young enough in his career. Getting him for a first round draft pick, he was in his second year, right? Second or third year.
Going into his third.
So, yeah, he was going in his third. So it's like you kind of got someone who was a first round draft pick early in his career on a rookie contract. You wouldn't have gotten him where you finished that year. You wouldn't have gotten someone of that caliber at mid first round.
Right.
So
right. Because Minka was like a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
You weren't going to get somebody that good, where the Steelers draft.
No. And I mean, it's one of those things of, did it work out? Well, he played good for us for a few years and probably did, like I said, did better than a draft pick could have gotten for that. So, and honestly, yeah, he fell off, but I don't think there was he wasn't like correct me if I'm wrong. He wasn't like a locker room cancer or someone you needed to. It wasn't a addition by subtraction deal.
Right.
I know there's been things of people kind of giving hints of everyone just needs to play their thing, and it was like, were you talking about Mika? But
I thought it was a good deal at the time. I think it worked out for a while. I think the Steelers are hoping he would have played at the level or continued to play that he played his first 2 years.
Right.
Just didn't happen. The Dolphins decided they wanted to bring him back. They actually gave him a contract and everything, and I think they feel like they're going to get what they got out of him the first time, and we'll see. But that's why I think you see, like, you look at the AFC East, I think it's definitely Buffalo, New England, and I think the Jets and the Dolphins are way far behind those two, and there's a reason for that. I don't think I would have given him a big extension. I think let's see what you do this year. But
yeah,
anyway, there you go, and that's why the Dolphins are the Dolphins. So, but yeah, I thought the Steelers did well getting rid of him. What they got for him, I mean, go ahead. Worked to try it out. Worked for a little bit. Wasn't working out last year real well, and the year before, and so hey, we'll see you later.
Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise that they were able to trade him.
Yeah, because the other thing people forget about him is I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off. He was also a pretty good run stopper for a while, and then all of a sudden that kind of disappeared. Now I don't know, because sometimes at the NFL they'll play up injuries. Sometimes they don't. It can be NHL-ish, like, it's an upper body injury. Meanwhile he's missing his head. But they don't tell you exactly what's going on, and I don't know if Minka was hurt and they just didn't say. But but his run stopping capabilities also were pretty diminished the last 2 seasons too, especially last year. So yeah, I like Minka, but off to better things for him and on to better things for us.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't. I mean, nobody. I've never seen anybody in history near Troy Polamalu, but he was almost at that level his first couple years. I mean, I remember there was a Cincinnati game where he single-handedly won that game. I think he blocked a field goal or something like that. He was a maniac. I remember his very first game was against the 49ers, and he caused 2 fumbles or something like that on like on the run game or something like that. So yeah, he was a beast. And then for some reason, he just hung out I don't want to say 30 yards behind the play. It might have been 300. He might have been on, I think some of those games, he was on one of those little tiki boats in the river while the game was going on. He was pretty far out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but I mean, those first couple of years he was where he was, he was playing all pro level. So I guess, that trade was worth it. So we all agree they'll probably beat the Jets. I don't know. I'm sure when whatever athletes say, it's probably the opposite is true. So when Justin Fields says, I don't really care about them, I think he cares very deeply about beating the Steelers, because that did not that did not go well. I don't, I'm sure he
No.
thinks that he should have played last year instead of Russell Wilson and, that whole thing. So
especially the way the season started. I mean, they were occasionally fluky, but he was winning. He was winning. It wasn't all on his shoulder, but it's like, hey, I'm leading the team. The team's winning. Okay, the old guy comes back, and then all of a sudden you bring me back in for like a 4th and 1 situation once a game. Of course, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and there's
I
not
can see some bitterness on his part. I mean, but
yeah, there's no big parade. Like, I mean, that first game when Aaron Rodgers came over to the Jets, I mean, it was almost nauseating. ESPN was covering the game. You had Mike Green, who's like a giant Jets fan, they were simultaneously having his watch party while they're watching it, and like the look on his face when Rodgers went down. I mean, obviously, I don't want to say anything to jinx us, but now it's like, hey, Justin Fields, and there's no fanfare. It's not the game of the week. It's, I mean, if anything, we're probably about the furthest thing from the game of the week this week. But it's the fanfare's not there. Now, maybe Justin Fields will eventually play himself into that role and do what he's been the Bears hoped he would do, and the Steelers hoped that he would do. But, I'll say this, and you can say I'm wrong, but the Bears obviously had enough. The Steelers gave him a shot. A legitimate shot. They didn't really show the Steelers all that much. So now you're with the Jets, who have not been to the playoffs in what? I think they have the longest drought in the NFL right now, which is saying something when you have the Panthers and some of these other horrible teams. But the Jets have arguably been the worst team. I don't think they've been in the playoffs since they lost to us in the AFC Championship. It's possible. It's either that or they haven't been in the AFC title game since then. But they are going on. I know they have the longest drought in the NFL playoff wise. So, and they think Justin Fields might be the answer. I don't personally see it, but we'll see. He can run with the football and everything. Like Dave said, that's a good point. He's going to probably keep them in games because of his athletic ability. It's pretty impressive. But at the same time, maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I just don't see it with Justin Fields.
When he did play with the Steelers, he was 4-2. But good Lord, those games were like, they had to be absolutely perfect defensively. And like every single thing had to go right. And they won every game, like 17-16. Like you cannot sustain that every single week.
And if we didn't have Boswell, we wouldn't have won those games.
Right. You don't
have the greatest kicker in the NFL right now and just miss 1 or 2 kicks that, By the way, I did look it up. The last time the Jets did appear in the playoffs was the AFC Championship game against the Steelers.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
January 2011.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's,
14 years, people.
Yeah, and they're a great fan base. Anytime the Jets come to Pittsburgh, the Jets fans are there in droves. It's almost not as good as Buffalo, but it's pretty damn close for being as far away as they are. So the Jets have great fans. I mean, I can't imagine being a Jet fan. At least the Giants fans can say, hey, we've won some Super Bowls in the last, 30 years. But, the other thing we keep saying, and I told you, Joe, when they brought Fields in here, the Bears, one of the real thing the Bears have had enough of with his turnovers. His turnovers are atrocious. In the 6 games he played with us last year, he had 6 fumbles. He was just damn lucky to recover 5 of them.
He just recovered them. That's all.
Yeah.
The ball happened to bounce his way. That's right. That's all.
So, I would be interesting to see if he turns the ball over on Sunday and ends up costing him the game, because I think that's like, okay, guys, this guy's athletic prowess is unquestioned, like Dave said, but he just can't hold on to the damn ball.
Yeah. And I mean, TJ may be rusty, but TJ's kind of known for doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, TJ will strip the ball. Yeah, and Highsmith's actually pretty good at it too.
Yeah.
They saw that dude every day. They know everything about Justin Fields. They were with him for a year, so they know all his tendencies. So I think TJ Watt might have a big game, so that could be very interesting. What about for the season? Did anything change what you think about how the Steelers will do this season. How many games do you think they'll win? Do you think they'll go into the playoffs? Do you think they'll, by God, win a playoff game?
Oh, I don't know. I looked at the schedule. See, I was kind of prepared for that. I didn't know if you were going to do a traditional go game by game or but if I'm looking at it, I think they go 11-6. I think they beat the Jets. I think they win at home in Seattle. I think they barely get by New England. That New England team is going to be better than what a lot of people think. Trust me. I think they lose in Ireland. I'm sorry to say, but I think the Vikings are very, very good. That Vikings team is loaded. I think they probably split with Cincinnati. They may sweep the Browns. I think they'll struggle with Green Bay. And they have an early bye week this year too, which doesn't help out for that second half of the schedule. But then, like Dave mentioned this earlier, there's always going to be some stupid game in there they probably should win. And classic Tomlin, they're going to lose. Whether that's the Bears, Miami, maybe the Browns game, instead of sweeping them, they split. They should sweep the Browns. They're better. But that's so I kind of have them sitting at 11-6. I think they've done enough in the offseason to make them better a little bit. But that's the real question, Joe. Can they win a playoff game? And I don't know.
The big question is, will they be the last seed or will they be the 6th or the 5th seed?
Right.
If they're the 5th seed, even if they were the 5th seed last year, I think they win a playoff game.
Possibly.
But playing Baltimore in Baltimore, the chance of them winning was they would have had to play the perfect game. Lamar Jackson would have had to play a horrible game, and that didn't happen. The exact opposite happened. But it was still, but if they play, Houston, there's a decent chance they could win that thing. It would at least be a puncher's chance. So if they can get in above a 7th seed, even above a 6th seed, if they can hit that 5th seed, I think they got a chance.
Yeah.
To win one. Maybe not going deeper, but at least to win that one.
Yeah. And if they're that last seed and go up against basically the best team that didn't get a bye, they are screwed. Because that's probably either Buffalo or Kansas City or Baltimore or something like that. You don't stand a chance against those teams.
Unless someone gets injured, in my mind, that's your 3 top seeds.
And they play Baltimore twice in 5 weeks at the end of the season. Which is odd. Again, I don't remember that being the case in a while. But
if you look at their last 6 weeks, it's home against the Bills, going to Baltimore, Dolphins at home. Okay, that should be relatively easy.
That's the Ring of Honor game.
Yeah. At the Lions, and the Lions, like I said, good team. At Cleveland, and then home against the Ravens.
Well, and
I hate to say it, I could see 1-5 for the last 6 games.
You could, and right there at Cleveland again, that was a game we should have won last year. We muffed that up in classic Tomlin style, and
it was the Blizzard game too.
Yes.
Keep in mind, that was the Snow Globe game. Keep in mind that is their Super Bowl. They're in their pathetic existence. That's all they have to live for is to beat us.
Right.
So
and the only thing they have played for now is to get the number 1 seed, drafting our quarterback next year?
I would say tank for Arch Manning, but that's probably not happening. Tank for an actual good college quarterback.
Yeah, that ship may have sailed really early, right into a Cat 5 hurricane. We'll see. But no, I think you're right. I think they've been to the Miami game at home. I mean, that's just. But I worry. I worry about that NFC East because Green Bay's a good team. Their defense was pretty good. Now they got Micah Parsons. Now it's very good. The Vikings are loaded. The Lions
assuming Micah stays healthy.
Right.
He may not play even week 1.
He might not. I think the Lions I think they could go 1-3 against that NFC East. They should beat the Bears. But I looked at the Bears game, Joe, and that's when I thought, there's a game, coming off a home against Cincinnati, and then they got a home against Buffalo. And it's that could be one of those stupid things where they lose the Bears and beat the Bills somehow. Classic Mike Tomlin. Yeah. So
honestly, if you're going to split them, I'd rather them split it that way for the playoff.
Right.
You win a conference game versus out of conference game.
Right,
I'll take that trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at schedule and look at the Thursday games. I'm trying to figure out which games are the Thursday.
Well,
games.
the one Thursday game's a rough one. They've got Cleveland
at
at home,
Cincinnati or something.
and then
like
they got to
that?
go at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hate to say it, that I don't want to say that's a definite loss, but it's probably a short week at Cincinnati.
No, they're home to Cleveland, then they go at Cincinnati. Yeah.
Here's why I think they're going to lose in Ireland, because I think they're going to be stupid and stubborn and not show up until like the last minute, and they're going to be all because they've all been on record as saying we lost that game the last time we went to England because we got there and we were just so messed up because of the jet lag and we couldn't play right. And I think they're going to do the exact same thing, which is really baffling to me because they're basically the home team and they should get there early and be like ambassadors and stuff. I don't understand why they're going to get there the last minute, but hey, let's be stubborn about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd rather be stubborn than right, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm predicting 10-7. And if that's the case, they're not going to do well in the playoffs because they'll be a low seed. What do you think, Dave?
It honestly, it's somewhere around there. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to tell just because you get the weird games where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they beat them, and then oh my God, they lost to the Raiders with I forget the quarterback who was from the area that. It was like the only good
Bruce
game he had. Yes, it was like
Terrell Pryor.
Both.
And Terrell Pryor, they lost to him
it
too.
Was both. It was actually both. It was like the best game of their career was against the Steelers, and there's no way they should have beat him that year.
That's still the longest quarterback rushing touchdown in NFL history is Terrell Pryor against the Steelers.
It was his life goal.
And the thing is about making the playoffs or not, it's hard to tell because it really depends on how the, I think we all agree they're not going to win the division. Unless something weird happens to Baltimore. I don't see them winning the division.
I think something weird is going to happen to Baltimore, and here's why. They were like totally, almost completely healthy last year. Usually when you're all healthy, that means you're going to have a lot of players hurt the next year. So I could see some injuries. If Lamar Jackson goes down, they are absolutely screwed.
They're dead.
So I could see that happening.
But I mean, outside of something like that, for them to get in as a wild card, it so much depends on, like you said, how is the second place team in the AFC East going to do? Because really, behind Buffalo, you got question marks. The AFC West, you could have a couple good teams, and then all of a sudden, you may have where the NFC Central was last year, where first place and the second place team was the Vikings last year were second place, I think, in the division by one. They were like. And
14-3.
It was 14-3 versus 15-2. They were like, you would be the number one seed, either division, either league, but you're going to be on the road playing against a crappy team. If there's a couple situations like that, even 11 wins couldn't be enough. Right. I don't think it's going to be a bad year though. It's going to be a lot of up and downs, unfortunately. And it's going to be not consistent, and we're going to be tearing whatever hair we have left out. But I don't see this as a crash. Darren,
I was waving at my wife. She's leaving.
Okay.
She's leaving the hospital.
I didn't know if you were getting the signal from the staff saying,
"No,
you're in the hospital. What are you doing?
Commercial
Shut it down."
We need you to do this surgery. We need you to help. Derek Harmon needs a need.
That's a good point, Dave. And I think Joe and I both find a conspiracy. I really feel like the Chiefs tanked that last game to keep the Bengals out of the playoffs last year. Because I think the Bengals is the record wasn't the greatest. I think they would have won a playoff game, and I think they would have beat the Chiefs had they played. I think the Chiefs were scared to death of having to play the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's the thing.
Most teams were by the end of the year because they were, like I said, they finished strong, and that's the important thing.
Yep. At the bare minimum, you're going to have to score with Chase Brown and Higgins and Jamar Chase. You're going to have to score a minimum of 28 points a game to beat the Bengals, maybe even 30.
Yeah.
You know, and hope that your defense can either to make a turnover or do something. The Bengals defense sucks too. Don't get me wrong. They suck. They may be the worst. They may be the worst defense in the conference for the AFC Central, but they're going to win games. And they barely missed the playoffs last year. And if they make the playoffs this year, I think everybody's scared of what they could do.
I mean, this all rests on Aaron Rodgers. We're relying on, what is he, 41, 42?
41,
and you know, how is he going to play, and how long is he going to play? How many games is he going to play? That's the big question. Is he going to be able to hold up? I mean,
I would really, and I don't trust NFL players and coaches to do this, but let's say you get to the point of, hey, we're ahead by 2 touchdowns. It's going into the fourth quarter. Put Mason in. I know 2 touchdowns, people can still come back, but you know what? Time to bring like in baseball, bring the reliever in.
Maybe.
I think
save it up. But I don't know if Tomlin has that mentality, and I don't know if Aaron. I know we know Ben never had that. Ben had the thing of Ben, your right arm's busted. I can still put it. I can still throw.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's flopping around and broken and the bone's sticking out. No, put me in. I can still play.
Yeah.
No, I think Joe's right. I think you're going to see him. I think there could be 1 or 2 games he just doesn't play because of his age, health, whatever. I definitely could see that. I really could.
And Mason's good enough to start a game.
Yeah.
I think he's, the team's not, it will be a step down, but it's not going to be, going with someone who doesn't know how. It's like, oh, I'm a quarterback now. What do I do? He'll be competent for that game, just like he was a few years ago.
I'd be much more confident. Like, I'm right with you guys. I'm either 10 or 11 wins. I'd be much more confident. I'm sorry to keep beating this drum. I'd be much more confident if we had a legitimate number 2 wide receiver. I just don't feel like, Calvin Austin III is listed at that right now. I just don't see it, which means I think you're going to Metcalf's is a beast. I mean, he's the best receiver we've had in years. He's going to get it done. But I just don't know at what rate. He's going to get double teamed a lot. Is Rodgers going to be on the same page with the tight ends enough to get them the ball? Is that number 2 receiver, whether it's Austin, whether somebody else steps up? That's what worries me when you look across the board. And because the Browns don't have it, so that's why they suck. But the Ravens have 2 legitimate receivers. The Bengals sure as hell have 2 legitimate receivers. And that could be the difference. And I wonder if that could be one of the things that comes back and bites them when making these season predictions, Joe, of 10 or 11 wins. If you have an anemic offense or a lack of receivers, that could be the difference in 1 or 2 wins for sure.
I absolutely cannot believe we're making the same mistake again. What tanked the season last year was only having a wide receiver 1 and no adequate backup. And when he went down, the whole season went down. And we're doing the exact same thing. But I think there is a solution. And I don't think it's going to happen right away. But I think it's going to happen by the trade deadline. We're going to get somebody. And you know who that somebody is? Tyreek Hill.
We'll see. I don't know.
Calling it.
I don't know. That could be it.
Could you see the Dolphins tanking? Could you see the Dolphins just imploding and them just having a fire sale because Tyreek Hill is like, he's a powder keg now. Imagine if they they go 1-7 or something like that. He's like, I cannot take this crap anymore. Get me out of here.
Yeah, Tua gets a bad hit again.
again, which happens all the time.
That's another guy. I don't see Tua making it the whole season.
No,
And
that's a shame.
I think you have Quentin Ewers probably going to be playing a few games there, but no, that's just it, guys. I just
I mean, could they be that big, that high up on Roman Wilson?
maybe
Even though he's never played a regular season game, just what they're seeing, they're like, you know what? DK's going to get double teamed. He's always going to have the best player. We actually have a quarterback who will throw it in the middle of the field. So we have crossing paths now available near the goal line. We have someone who could just say to Washington, go that way, I'll throw it to you and jump.
I don't
Right,
know.
that's the other thing.
don't know.
I think none of us have seen as how much are we going to see these tight ends involved? Are we going to see Muth having a big year? We know Jonnu Smith. Is Mount Washington going to be the favorite red zone target? And I mean, and then you also need a running game to open up the passing game.
Yeah.
So that's why, I just listened to another program the other day, and this guy, I know him, I like him, but he had the Steelers at 14 wins, and I said, you're out of your damn mind. No way. What Steeler Kool-Aid you're drinking? I don't know if it's an icy light with a,
Well, wait a minute. Before you say that, though, Joe, didn't you have the Steelers at like 14-3 last year?
Maybe. I mean, I'm a pretty big optimist, but come on.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't actually talking about Joe. I really was talking about a
Oh
program.
no, I know that, but I know Joe. When you always do the shows,
when I look at the
like,
schedules,
okay, I
mean,
think they'll win. They'll probably win that. Okay, what did it turn out to be? Oh, I have them at 14-3.
when I go through that schedule, I have them going 18-0 because I have them winning the bye. I have them playing somebody in the bye game like Alabama or something like that. So yeah, I'm a little bit.
They could beat Alabama this year, but yeah.
But anyway, well, we could at this point, but
it's always so hard with that. That AFC North is so tough that we're in because it's like they could split with Baltimore. They could split
if we're lucky.
or they could get swept by Baltimore.
Yeah,
they could split with. I don't think they'd sweep. I don't know. Baltimore, we've seen that sometimes have their number. The Bengals scare me. They probably scare me more than Baltimore. The Browns, they should sweep. I think they're definitively better than the Browns. I think that's the one team we're definitively better with. But the Bengals and the Browns kind of scare you. You just don't know what you're gonna get. Where you can look at the Bills and say that's like the old Patriots, right? Hey, kitty cat. The Bills are probably they're gonna have 6 wins right out the door in their own conference, and the Patriots may have 4 or 5, and that's just what we're looking at. And again, we drew the NFC East this year. Like I keep saying,
I just saw a cat. So what Dave is saying is the Bengals are going to win the AFC North. I think that's what the message was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals are cats. That was a cat.
The cat. Yep. He's orange.
I think it was a yellow. I think it was an orange cat too. So
he's an orange and white cat. Yes. He's your creamsicle.
Who's your Super Bowl matchup?
Oh God.
I say Bills Lions.
That's a good one. That was mine last year. I'd like to have seen the Bills got a little bit better than what they did. But I guess I'd probably stick with the Bills as well. And I'd say Bills Lions as well. That would be my early thought.
I can see, and I hate to say it's one of those things of until someone beats them, I'm going to keep picking the Chiefs because they just find out were they the better team? Were they best team in the AFC last year? No, but they won. They somehow won. And they can pull off.
That was because of Taylor Swift.
Well, too. And now we got the marriage. So it's even stronger.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
It was like, but it's kind of like you said, like the Patriots. It was it's like, who are you going to pick from the AFC? Patriots. Until someone beats them, there's a good chance they're going to be in the Super Bowl.
That's a legit argument.
I can see the Chiefs in the NFC. I mean, it could be the Eagles again. I don't think Washington's going to step up that much, but they made it to the championship game last year. Whether that
I
was a
think-
fluke with the rookie year, but
I think the Eagles are in for a big time Super Bowl hangover. I think they're not going to have it as easy as last year. I think the
Well-
Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. I think like once you win it,
Mhm.
you let your foot off the gas a little bit.
You're going to have to outscore Dallas. We said on this program before, Joe. I think the Dallas Cowboys are the Bengals of the NFC, and that's also infuriating for Steeler fans because everyone's talking about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Well, it'd be nice if we could be talking about DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Although all of us in the show at one point or another, Dave, I think you may have agreed, was glad that we got rid of Pickens because he was just a cancer. And sometimes that's what happens. They're cancer somewhere else, and they go to another team, and they end up being.
it's a good fit. It's a good fit there
fit.
versus a good fit here. But
But
honestly, for someone like Pickens, he's going to do something stupid or give up on a play and not block and going to cause an issue. And
I could see this scenario. CeeDee Lamb has a monster game, 8 catches for 250 yards or something like that, and Pickens has like a 2 catches for 14 yards, and he just loses his mind and doesn't show up the next game or doesn't show up to practice or goes late to a meeting, and they don't put up with that crap. You think Jerry Jones is on edge already after what happened with the Micah Parsons thing? He's not going to put up with anybody's crap.
Yeah,
he would love if George Pickens did some crap like that just so he can make a big deal about it and get rid of him.
that's a good point too. We all saw where Deontay Johnson is right now. He is not on a team.
Yeah.
So, but to that point, I think the Cowboys will be better. I think the Cowboys are going to give the Eagles a little bit of push there too, because they're going to be good offensively. If the Giants have the guts to start Jackson Dart, which they should, they could be a team that could upset them. So I don't think the Eagles are going to run away with the NFC East like they did last year. But yeah, I think to your point, the Chiefs I hate to say it, Chiefs got better. They got better defensively, and they made some good drafts. They made good offensive off-field defensive acquisitions. That's where they were hurting last year. Denver's a good team. Denver's a team to watch.
Yeah.
I think Denver still finished 5 games behind them though last year. Where like you were saying with the Lions and the Vikings so close, right? But I think Denver's going to eat into that lead a little bit. I think the Bengals or the Broncos could knock them off one of these games in the regular season. But I still think you're right. But I just something about the Bills this year, I don't know. I think it might be finally.
I think it's just going to have to happen eventually. They're just too good. The Bills and the Ravens at some point are going to break through. It's just going to happen. But like to Dave's point of the Chiefs just were kept winning those games. They won those games in the flukiest ways possible.
4,
And usually when you win those crazy games, it regresses the other way, and you're going to not win those games the next year or something like that. So I think the Chiefs are in for a little bit of a setback. And I mean, and they're going to get Rashee Rice in back in 6 games. So, they're going to be good. But then again, Travis Kelce, hey, when you're engaged, you got to worry about napkins, the venue, they're calling every fire hall in the area, looking for, you gotta match the venue with the church, and that's a pain. You gotta worry about a DJ. You gotta worry about the cake. I mean, he's all these things he has to think about. He can't be thinking about football. He's gonna have a terrible year.
Well, don't forget, he lost his left guard, his left tackle. He lost Isaac Pacheco. He was sacked 36 times last year. 36 times, which is unheard of for Mahomes. And so, that they had a lot of injuries that really held them back. Yeah. And they still got to the Super Bowl and then got their teeth kicked in, which, yeah. But
whether people learned from Philadelphia or just Philadelphia's had the perfect thing, like the Giants had the perfect thing against Brady that no one else could replicate because they were the only ones that could beat him in the postseason. Whether it was it was a perfect storm and maybe some niggling injuries from them just winning so much, you go to the Super Bowl, you're going to have a lot more injuries because you're playing a lot more games than anyone else.
Eli Manning will probably end up in Canton someday solely on those 2 wins. I don't think he's Hall of Fame worthy, but I'm tough on that. But he probably will be, and it'll probably be because of that exact reason. Dave.
I agree. I agree. Also New York. If he was in
right.
Arizona or something like that, he's not I'm going to the Hall of Fame.
No.
But
Well,
because
and also
New York,
who he beat. And also who he beat.
Yeah.
If he would have beat, a San Diego team that snuck in and it was like, yeah, whatever. He beat the GOAT.
Yeah.
Twice. He was the only one who could stop him.
Yeah.
His dad was right. The Chargers wanted him, and he got his way out of there. His dad was right. You don't win a darn thing with the Chargers.
What was the other meme? I think it's Peyton Manning saying, "Oh, Archer's adopted." It's just
right
after that loss. Like, oh god, that's awful.
One of those. They replayed that SNL sketch where Peyton Manning was like yelling at little kids. It's like that's what he's doing with Art. It's like, I hate you, you suck.
Oh man.
Before we wrap up though, one thing I saw online, I absolutely hilarious. It was someone who posted, "Boy, did you ever think about that girl you dated in high school and you wonder where she ended up? As long as she didn't end up with like a big football player who it was Taylor Swift's high school boyfriend."
Right, yeah, some dude that dated Taylor Swift. It's like, it's okay. She won't end up with. She's like, yeah, but she could end up with some football player or something like that. What's she gonna do? Become a billionaire?
Yeah, I mean, look, she was a nice person. I wish her well, but as long as she doesn't end up with like a star football player, I'm happy. I can say what I don't have to say. What if?
Listen, it's hard. It's hard planning a wedding. I feel for Travis Kelce. You know how many fire halls you got to call to make sure that you got the right venue and stuff. Because at some point you got to get cheap. And then you got to go to Target and you got to scan a bunch of things for the registry, and that's a pain. It was like, well, which candlesticks do we want? Do we need a blender? Which blender he's not going to be thinking about football.
No, it's so easy here. There's 3 questions. Can you have a cookie table? Can you play the Steelers polka? And can you do the chicken dance? If you got all 3 of those in Pittsburgh, you're good.
Yeah.
See,
Steelers polka.
I can't believe that a cookie table is not a thing everywhere.
I know.
It's just, I think it's just generally like Pittsburgh area or something like that, which is insane.
I love when we're out with a couple or somebody or something or somewhere and they say, well, what's a cookie table? I'm like, what? And then you get to tell them. Mm-hmm. And then they think it's the greatest idea ever and they use it.
Oh my God. It's the best thing ever. Yeah. Yeah. And where else are you going to have Steeler themed weddings? You see that all the time. Forget about our wedding dress and our tuxedo. We're wearing our TJ Watt jersey. And we're waving our terrible towel.
A couple of years ago, when my nephew got married, he was married down, he had the reception down the Rivers Casino. They got the Steelers drum corps.
The drum corps, yes!
Yes, they actually got the drum corps to play during the reception.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Don't know how they got it set up or how much it cost or anything. But yeah, all of a sudden, here they come, the official drum corps coming in and playing at the wedding.
Yep.
Beautiful.
That's hilarious.
Beautiful. That's awesome. All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you, Dave.
Good seeing you, Darren. Good luck.
Go Steelers.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Go Steelers.